Okay, so I'm going to do the first one long division wise because I'm just going to do it both ways because some people like the long division wise, some people like the box method, some people don't understand either, so we're just going to go over both of them. Okay, so basically what I want to, and you guys please tell me if I'm going too fast or you need something explained. Okay, so basically I want to ask myself, how many times does x go into x to the fourth? So, or x to the fourth divided by x, or what do I multiply x by to get x to the fourth? Several different questions you can ask yourself there. And I usually go by what do I multiply x by to get x to the fourth? That makes sense to me. So what do I have to multiply x by to get x to the fourth is x to the third. And now I'm going to distribute it. So this is an expression x plus 3. So I want to distribute this to both terms. So I'm going to get x to the fourth, wow. And 3 times x to the third is 3x to the third. Is there anybody confused about that? Are we okay? Class, online, everyone's okay? Great. If I subtract that, I get 0. And then I bring down everything else that's left. And I get negative x squared minus x plus 6. Now I'm going to ask myself the same question. What do I multiply x by to get negative x squared? Well, that would be negative x. And I just moved it down over the x squared. I don't know why, just because. To make it look nice. I don't know, okay? Because it's over the x squared. Okay, there's no really rhyme or reason to why I did it, okay? You can put it right next to the x cubed. And now I'm going to distribute again to the two terms. So x times negative x is negative x squared, and negative x times 3 is negative 3x. And now I'm going to subtract again. So the x squareds make a 0. Negative x minus a minus 3x is 2x. Plus 6. And now again, I say, what do I multiply x by to get 2x? And that would be plus 2. So distribute. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract. I get 0. So my answer is x cubed minus x plus 2. That's it. Any questions? Any questions at home? Or wherever you may be? Okay. So the second one, I decided to do the box method because I kind of like it. So I leave myself a long open box. And 3x minus 2, right? So my first term that I need to get is 27x cubed. So what do I multiply 3x by to get 27x cubed? Well, that would be 9x squared. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so negative 2 times 9x squared is negative 18x squared. And then I ask myself, what do I add to negative 18x squared to get 9x squared? And I think that's 27x squared. Yeah. Okay. So again, what do I multiply 3x by to get 27x squared? Again, 9x, because 3x times 9x is 27x squared. So negative 2 times 9x is negative 18x. And what do I multiply negative 18x by to get negative 3x? And I think that's a negative 15. Oh, not negative 15, sorry. Positive 15x. So what do I multiply 3x by to get 15x? I think that's 5. And 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And then we're at our remainder. So what do I add to negative 10 to get, that's an eraser, to get negative 9? I think that's plus 1. So my answer should be 9x squared plus 9x plus 5, plus 1 divided by 3x minus 2. Any questions? So a few of you are putting in like 27x cubed. When we're dividing, remember, the main thing to remember is when I'm dividing, the first answer here has to be less than this. If this is an x cubed, it's got to be less than x cubed. So it's got to be x squared, right? It's got to be less. It can't be the same number. Does that make sense? So if you've got if you've got an x cubed, if there's an x cubed here and your first answer here is x cubed, no. Okay? Same with here. If this was an x to the 4th right here and your first term here is x to the 4th, that's not right. It's got to be one step down. Okay? Is there any questions? Everyone okay? Awesome. Okay. Now we're moving on to something easy. This is just review, the next part, which is good. We're going to review easy polynomial solving before we get to hard polynomial solving. And we're going to solve quadratics. So you guys should have done this all last year. We have 3 properties we're going to talk about. The zero product property, which says if I have two things, the first one that you learned last year basically says if I have 2 things multiplied together and one of them is 0, if I have 2 things multiplied together and it equals 0, then one of those things has to be 0. So with a polynomial, it means if I have 5 things multiplied together and equals 0, then one of those have to be 0. It doesn't matter how many things I have multiplied together. If it equals 0, one of those things has to be 0, right? So that's what the zero zero product property says. The square root property says if I have a squared equals b, then the square root of a equals the plus or minus the square root of b, right? There's 2 answers for square root, the plus or the minus. And then the quadratic formula. Hope you know it. It's a minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? But it's on here if you don't know it. If you learned it to a song, great. I did not. That's why I can't sing. So those are the rules we're going to use today. I'm not going to lie to you. Most of it's the quadratic formula. Love the quadratic formula. Yes, that was a lie. Okay. All right, so here we go. Those are all things you should have known, so I didn't spend a lot of time going over it. We're just going to do some problems, and then you guys are mostly going to do, I'm going to do 3 problems. You guys are going to do most of the work today. Okay, and if you need help, we'll do it. We'll do them 3 at a time, though. Okay, so we won't do like 6 at a time or something. I don't know, maybe. We'll find out. I don't know where we're going today. So we're just going to get everything on the same side, the equal sign, and solve. So let's see. Subtract 10x squared and add 7. And then I get, let's see, x squared plus 4x minus 45 equals 0. And I'm pretty sure this one can be factored. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 45 and add to be 4. So 9 and negative 5. So this will be x plus 9 times x minus 5. And really, this is what I always try to do first is to factor, because factoring is so much easier than the quadratic formula. Okay, so if you can get factor, awesome. That's the easiest way to do it. So I have 2 things multiplied together that equal 0. That means one of the things equals 0. So either x plus 9 equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0. So guys, if I need to make it bigger so you can see it, let me know. So that means x is going to equal either negative 9 or positive 5. And there's my answer. Any questions? Pretty easy? Lo? Huh? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you're just staring at the board like, what? See, I can see faces now. I can see questions in your eyes. Okay. That's why I like face-to-face. I can see your faces and your expressions, although they're kind of hidden under the mask. Okay. I wonder if after I have my second shot if I have to wear the mask still. I know, right? I get it Thursday. I still have 10 days, right, after the shot. I don't know. I'll have to ask. Okay. So number 2, I do have to wear my mask. Well, that sucks. Thank you for telling me that. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides because there's only one. Or actually, I can either, well, I'm going to do it this way. I could factor this. I just want to say that. But we're trying to do the square root property on this one. So I could factor this one, or I could add 16 to both sides, where I get x squared equals 16. And how do I get rid of the x? I square root it. So x is going to equal plus or minus 4. Questions? Everyone okay with that one? Beautiful. I'm going to stick with these 2 colors because the other colors aren't good in class. Okay. And then, okay. So we're going to do number 3. And yes, I know I can factor this. I'm just going to say it, but I'm going to do the quadratic formula because I have to. I'm going to demonstrate it. Okay. So I know I can do the quadratic formula. I can factor this. This is factorable. But we're going to do it with the quadratic formula just because. So I'm going to find out what a, b, and c is. So for the quadratic formula, right, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Everything has to be on the same side of the equal sign. So a is 2, b is -3, and c is 1. Okay? And then I have x equals minus a -3, because the quadratic formula says x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So plus or minus the square root of -3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1, all divided by 2 times 2. And then from this step on, it's just order of operations and simplifying it. It's just plugging it in and making sure you get the right numbers in there. So then I've got 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 8 all over 4, which equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 4, which equals 3 plus 1 divided by 4, and 3 minus 1 divided by 4, because the square root of 1 is 1, yeah? So 3 plus 1 is 4, divided by 4 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2, divided by 4 is 1/2. Done. Questions? You guys all know how to do this. This is all review from last year. Awesome. Okay, so let's do A, B, and C. And if you really want to, I guess you can do D, E, and F. Let's do those 6. Can you guys see them?
Are these in our packets or is this in the...
No, they're in your packets.
They are?
Yeah. 5.3.
What page?
13.
Thank you. That one. Yeah, so we did the complex numbers first. Yeah, so go over this, and hopefully some of you will understand. Yes, there's Delta Math today. Oh, my Lanta. Okay. So sorry. So on the first one, there's an x in both terms, so I can factor out an x. So I can get x times x minus 6 equals 0. And then I have 2 things multiplied together that equal 0. So either x equals 0 or x minus 6 equals 0. So x equals 0 or 6. Questions? Did you forget the 0? There's 2 answers always. 2. Okay. You forgot the 0, didn't you?
I don't know what
Do you want me to come look?
I did. I did a quadratic fraction one, so.
But the quadratic formula, you still should have got the same answer.
Yeah, I got 3.
I can do it. I can do the quadratic formula.
No.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
can you show me how to do it?
With this problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's okay. So A equals 1, B equals -6, and C equals 0. Right? So it's minus a -6 plus or minus the square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 0,
So
all
there's always
divided.
A, B, and C?
Huh?
There's always A, B, and C?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
2 times 1, which equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 divided by 2.
But doesn't the 0 multiply? So it's minus.
Minus. Yep. So that's 6 plus or minus 6 divided by 2. So 12 divided by 2 and 0 divided by 2 is 6 and 0. Okay? Yeah, there's a minus sign in there, so. Okay. So if we go to the next one, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. And I get x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. And I can factor that. So, right, give me 2 numbers that multiply to be -7 and add to be 6. Well, that's 7 and -1. It's just only only 2 numbers that multiply to be 7. So x plus 7 and x minus 1. So x plus 7 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. So x is going to equal -7 and +1. Okay, and then the last one here, so fun. Distribute, and I get 5x squared minus 5x minus 7 equals 4x squared minus 8x. So I'm going to bring everything to the same side of the equal sign. So subtract 4x squared and add 8x. Subtract 4x squared and add 8x. So I get x squared plus 3x minus 7 equals 0. Not factorable. Can't factor it. Because the only thing that multiplies to be 7 is 7 and 1. You can't get a 3 from that. So quadratic formula, A equals 1, B equals 3, and C equals -7. So x is going to equal minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times -7, all divided by 2 times 1. Which is going to equal -3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 28 divided by 2, which equals -3 plus or minus the square root of 37. Thanks, Campbell. Divided by 2. Done. I don't have to put it into decimals. I can just leave it like that. Yeah, it's awkward. It's weird. That's it. -3 plus or minus the square root of 37 divided by 2. Done. It is 2 answers because I have a plus or minus there. Okay? If that's what's on your paper, you were right. Okay. So, you guys do D, E, and F too, right? I had them up there. Okay. So let's go ahead and do D, E, and F. I actually did D by completing the square, but since that wasn't one of the ones that I told you could do, which you can do if you remember how to complete the square from last year, you could do it that way. But we will do the quadratic formula because we all love the quadratic formula. Sorry, I'm going to add 1 So I get 6x squared minus 12x plus 1 equals 0. So A equals 6, B equals negative 12, C equals 1. So x is going to equal minus a negative 12 plus or minus the square root negative 12 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1, all divided by 2 times 6. Okay. Which is 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 minus 24, all divided by 12, which equals 12 plus or minus the square root, of 120 divided by 12. Well, 120 is 4 times 30. So that means this becomes 12 plus or minus 2 root 30 divided by 12, which is divisible by 2. So 6 plus or minus root 30 divided by 6. Root 30 is not cannot be simplified. Simplifiable. I was going to say that. I don't think that's a word. Any questions? Is that what you guys got? Yeah? Good job. More or less. Like, maybe not. Okay, again. Now this one is nice because it only has an x squared. There's no other x's. So what I can do is I can say, hey, let's add 14 to both sides. And I get 8x squared equals 3. Divide by 8, and x squared equals 3/8. Square root it. And x is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 3/8. You can simplify that. You probably should, but I'm in the camp that you don't need to rationalize the denominator, so I'm just pretty much going to keep it there. Okay? There's some people that say you have to rationalize the denominator, which means rationalize the denominator. By the way, if you haven't heard it from last year, it means there can't be a square root in the denominator, right? So I'm okay with there being a square root in the denominator. I don't know why you can't have one there. It just doesn't make sense to me. Sure, you can have a square root in the denominator. Why not? So we're leaving it that way. Okay? That's the big debate in the math world. Can I have a square root in the denominator? Why not? Okay? So the next thing, now I am going to say that maybe Delta Math might not let you put a square root in the denominator. So you might have to fix it. Okay? All right. So subtract 9x, 9x squared minus 9x minus 7 equals 0. I think I had to do quadratic formula on this one too. Okay, so a equals 9. Look, my a and my 9 look exactly alike. C equals negative 7. So x equals minus a negative 9 plus or minus the square root of negative 9 squared minus 4 times 9, not negative 9, 9 times negative 7, all divisible by 2 times 9. Okay. And then we're going to get 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 plus 252 divisible by 18. And then we get 9 plus or minus the square root of 333 divided by 8. And then 333, believe it or not, I sat and figured it out, is 9 times, 9 times 37 is 333. So that means this is going to be 9 plus or minus 3 root 37 divided by 18. And then 3 goes into all of those. So I've got 3 plus or minus root 37 divided by 6. Yeah, 6. Okay. Whew. Nice. Nice job, Lewis. That's awesome. Okay, 3 more. 3 more problems. Last 3. Oh, okay, let me make it so you can see it on the board. I hope you guys can see all 3 problems at home. But I'm looking at my computer and you can see them, so I'm hoping you can see them at home. I just can't see all 3 of them on my iPad. Answers. Okay, and then for H, I got, hopefully I did this one right. Oh, I did. Okay, good. X is going to equal -1 plus or minus I root 55 divided by 2. And then I also has an I in it. X is going to equal 2 plus or minus I root 14 divided by 9. 2 out of 3, which one? H. Yeah, it adds to negative 220 underneath the root sign. So that's 4 times 55.